Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I'm playing Legacy, and at the request of Patreon subscriber Matt, I'm playing Bug Beans, but there's a big twist, and that is Cosmogoyf. Cosmogoyf was one of the cards when Edge of Eternities was getting spoiled that immediately got people's creative juices flowing. This card, over the course of a normal game of Magic, like if you draft this thing, I don't know if it's ever going to have power and toughness. I guess things that you warp out early in the game and you never warp back in would count for it. But as you get higher power and build your deck around it, it can quickly become more powerful. We've seen decks that use cards like Serum Powder, so your first Cosmogoyf is already a 14-15 or whatever. That's pretty sweet. And then there's more passive stuff, like the one we're playing now. There's 2 Goyfs in this deck. That's not a lot, but it's just there for mostly funsies anyway. Bug Beans is a deck built primarily around the Delve mechanic. How do we cast 5-drops without spending 5 mana on them? One of the ways to do that is alternate casting costs, and the other way is Delve. 2 Murderous Cuts, 3 Murktide Regents. In a pinch, you could target yourself with Nile Spellbomb, and there is a spicy fun of Demonic Bargain. Exile the top 13 cards of your library, then search your library for a card, put that card in your hand and shuffle. It's a demonic tutor with some significant RNG involved. You exile about a quarter of your deck, and then you get to tutor from what's left. But that also gives Goyf +13/+13. And maybe what you tutor for doesn't even matter. Mostly a real deck with a fun twist. It's Bug Beans, let's do it. I'm on the play in round 1, and while I do have 2 Lorien Revealeds, I don't have the land to get them started. I will mulligan. Here we go. I'm going to keep this, and I'm going to send away the Murderous Cut. That's going to have to be a later problem. Deck's full of removal. I'll try to figure it out then. Uh-oh, opponent has mauled to 5. That's when it starts to get suspicious. I do have the option of developing Tamiyo and passing the turn, and with Brainstorm in hand, that's really good in a lot of spots. Or I could ponder and try to find a Force of Will to contend. Oh, they also have a 61 card deck. This feels like oops all spells. I'm going to cast Ponder. Okay, immediately paid. I'm going to put this Force of Will in my hand and hope that's enough. Where's this tower? Okay, I've been hoodwinked. I think that's okay, though. I did stack my Ponder wrong. Now if I want to Force of Will anything, I have to pitch Brainstorm, and I already had a Bowmaster in hand. Yeah, I guess I just wasn't really planning for the game to still be happening when I resolved that, but it was definitely wrong, because Brainstorm is the most important card in my hand. Okay, they've played 2 towers and passed. Last time I made a 2 towers joke, the nerds in my comments were really mad about what the 2 towers actually are in Lord of the Rings. So I'm not going to do that again. I've learned my lesson. Okay, Orcish Bowmaster can go away. I'm going to cycle Lorien Revealed here. I might just ship both Bowmasters. Unless they suddenly play a 1-ring and have no other plan and they can back up the 1-ring with additional plays, I don't care about that. I'll Ponder. And there is a blue card I'm happy to pitch in Tamiyo. Okay, here we go. They've developed multiple towers, and I expect we'll see a payoff soon. Here's Planar Nexus. Is Ugin going to be the first spell of the game? Of course it is. And of course I can't let that resolve. I'm going to pitch Tamiyo, and my plan is going to be Beanstalk plus Murktide next turn. Oh no. It forced me back. I'm so cooked. Well, this is why the post deck is so good against control decks. Every one of their spells is game breaking. And now I genuinely don't think I can win. I'm going to play Beanstalk, which will draw Verdant Catacombs, which can cast Murktide Regent and draw a card. But now if my opponent casts any card ever, that doesn't matter. A Beanstalk is a redraw. It's cool how incredible this game has gone for me, and how my opponent mauled to 5 and has only cast 1 spell, and I'm losing by a mile. Or they've cast 2 spells. They did have the Force backup. Ironically, if they had just kept 7, I wouldn't have gotten into my this is oops all spells brain hole. Or if they had 60 cards in their deck, maybe I would have just played Tamiyo in turn 1 and then developed that a lot faster, and this turn 3 Ugin might be too slow. I'm going to just check my deck list. I don't have a Sheoldred's Edict. Bloodchief Thirst can kill Ugin. Alright, I guess I am playing to a single out here. Opponent is making a spawn and scrying 1, drawing 1. Ugin goes ultimate next turn, and they cast their whole deck. So I literally have to top deck exactly that. Alright, I don't want to play anymore. They got me. They got me. Terrible, terrible matchup. Consigned to Memory coming in. Cosmogoyf. I just want things that hit. Their deck doesn't really have creatures in it. Orcish Bowmaster is kind of bad. Their graveyard doesn't matter. Thoughtseize is good. Fatal Push is probably worse than Murderous Cut, just for Beanstalk considerations. I could bring in Veil. It obviously doesn't help against their colorless stuff, but it could win me an important counter war. If I think I want to cut more removal spells, I could get a Force of Negation in here. Melrod is kind of tempting, because they certainly have One Rings in their deck, but they also might... Like, there were no artifacts involved in the game I just lost. They have so many things that aren't artifacts. Okay, I think I'm going to do it like this. Yeah, sometimes they have artifacts, sometimes they have islands. There's a lot of sometimes things that I'm just not going to make a commitment to. Okay, I have a Thoughtseize opener with my one answer to Ugin in my hand. Please mull to 5 again. Why not go to 4? Okay, they're happy with 7 this time. Seize you. Okay, Thundertrap Trainer, Dismember, Kozilek's Command, Eldrazi, Confluence, and the full Tron. I could Bloodchief Thirst, a Trainer, if I care. Trainer's a 2-for-1, Command is a 2-for-1, or better. Eldrazi Confluence is a 2-for-1, but it's also the clunkiest card in this hand. I think it's Command. There's only 2 Wastelands in my deck, but I'd love to see one. Okay, the tower's been committed. Come on, Wasteland. Force of Will is not really what I'm looking for here. They'll probably play Thundertrap Trainer this turn, and I'm not forcing that. Yep, there it is. Force of Negation in your hand. And I'm going to end step Bowmaster just to have it in play, make their life slightly more difficult, even though I know they have Eldrazi Confluence and Dismember in hand. We got to start doing stuff, though. Ooh, okay. Thoughtseize you. This will either get 2 cards with the Force, or an important card with Thoughtseize resolving. Okay. It resolved. Their hand is still really good. Confluence cleans out all my pressure and replaces itself with Thundertrap Trainer. You flicker Thundertrap Trainer. That's a no from me. And I think I am going to Bloodchief Thirst this thing. If I can start applying pressure, because their hand is Dismember Ancient Tomb, that's a lot of self-damage if I could just put a little bit on them. And now they don't have anything going on. They have mana, they could gain some life, but none of the cards in their hand actually do anything. Cloud Post, okay. Same situation. Ponder. Rakshas's Bargain, Tamiyo, Brainstorm. How do I want to make a game out of this? I think Bargain is last here, and I'll put the Tamiyo in my hand. I'm going to attack and hope they dismember. They can dismember with only paying 2 life because of Planar Nexus. Alright. I'm not going to play Tamiyo into the dismember, because I know I'm drawing Brainstorm, and then I can do the Tamiyo trick. This is good for 3 life. Attack for 2, again. Keep it going. They could Force of Negation my Brainstorm on my turn, but that'll still cost them 2 cards and Brainstorm resolves. Or Brainstorm doesn't resolve. So if they dismember Tamiyo, force Brainstorm, or they can just bet that their cards are going to be better than mine, which is a safe bet. Urza's Tower. There's still 1 unknown card in this hand. I got 11 mana to play with. That's quite a lot. Okay, passing back to my turn, which means Force of Negation's on. Combat. If they want to engage with Tamiyo, this would have been the time to do it, and they didn't. I can play a Murktide that's bigger than Dismember, and Sink into Stupor is not currently showing. Yeah, I'm just going to jam this thing. Now I have Force backup and Brainstorm to flip Tameo. I've got options. Hey, pass the turn. Something's happening in the end step. This is so much mana. Is the one unknown card Kozilek's command? It always is. And they have Force of Negation to back it up. Yep. This is literally the only card I could possibly care about. And it is the one they have. Alright, well, let's have the fight at least. I will cost you your sink into stupor, even if you are going to win the fight. Yep. And this is a Scry 7 draw one. It's a lot of looks. This does trigger Bowmaster, but looking at... Well, they Scry 7, draw 1, and then they get a draw step. They could look at 9 consecutive cards here. I feel like any 9 cards in their deck at random would kill me. I was tenuously ahead and just needed their hand to not do something insane like this. Exactly this. Even if they had like Ugin or One Ring or something, I have Force of Will where they have Force of Negation, so I'm ahead in that counter war. But this is the one that gets me. And I even prioritized it by thought seizing it on turn 1. Let's just see 7 cards go to the bottom. That's the best scenario. 5 top, 2 bottom. That doesn't bode well. Yikes. The opponent's at 13. They now have 2 unknown cards in their hand that they selected to be there alongside Ancient Tomb and Dismember. Stonks. Now they have all the other cards that they kept on top. Or that's not true. They kept 5 on top and they only get 2 of them. So one of the things they kept on top is now going to go to the bottom. Ah, scoreboard. Couldn't even use all of the 5 cards you liked seeing. Casual gain 4 off your land drop. That's all right. It's not like I'm chip-shotting with mediocre damage output here. Command targeting my Bowmaster. Yep. The first command that resolves always finds the second command that resolves. They went top-bottom with that. I do get 1 more ping for the road. And finally, after thousands of years of waiting, the 4th Kozilek's command will get partially engaged with through the power of Tameo. Alright, they're making spawns. Their hand is Ancient Tomb, Dismember, and 1 unknown, which they did select between a Scry 5 and a Kozilek's command. Or a Scry 5 and a... what's that card called? Stock Up. To get to that point. Well, I'm obviously attacking first. I'd be surprised if they even care. I don't even think this is worth a spawn. And they know their hand better than me. But I feel like I'm doing basically nothing here. Cyclorian revealed. That shuffles away the Murktide that was on top of my deck. I don't want a Mystic Sanctuary Brainstorm to the top of my deck. I'll just jam this Barrogoyf. Tapped out. Active Tameo, Barrogoyf here, 3/3 in play, facing down, 8 trillion mana and a Dismember. They're just going to Dismember in the end step. Yeah, that's fair. You know, I can't interact with that. Stock Up. Yeah, Bug Beans is ultimately like kind of it's a deck that can take on different roles, which is the strength of it. Sometimes it's a tempo deck, sometimes it's mid-range, sometimes it's control. And all 3 of those archetypes are pretty bad versus 12 post. But especially in between those 3, I would most desire to be tempo, like dedicated 4 wastelands, quick clock tempo. And we are as far away from that, like especially with this build, with the Cosmogoyfs and stuff, we're closer to mid-range than we are anything else. And yeah, this matchup is just utterly heinous. You could do stuff like play Harbinger of the Seas, but that's extreme, and I don't think that actually benefits the deck. I think you just have to take your medicine when you play against decks like this. On to the next round. The BoshNRoll channel is brought to you by Tales of Adventure. TOAMagic.com has almost 100,000 unique cards in stock. They offer free track shipping on every order, plus next day or 2-day options when you have an event coming up fast. They offer on-site pickup at major Magic events throughout the US, so you're never scrambling before your tournament. Stop by their booth to buy, sell, or trade at upcoming regional championships, MagicCon, Spotlight Series, and more. I love their selection of individually scanned high-end cards that show you exactly what you're buying. And the best part is saving 5% on every order with promo code BOSH. From Ancestral Recall to Zombie Master, get what you need quickly and in one place at TOAMagic.com. Eternal lives here. On the play for round 2, I'm going to keep Island Ponder. Opponent says, hi, YouTube. Everyone say hi to Bird Denier. They're probably not playing Nadu. I think it's a safe bet. If they play Baleful Strix, though, I am calling the police. The opponent's on a mull to 6. I always feel better in life with a Force of Will in my hand. I'll just bank that one. And then I got Murktide and another cantrip coming. Wasteland. Okay. I'm fine against that. Do I want to put Murktide in the graveyard with this Hedge Maze? I think that's fine. I'm not quite ready for that. There's other engines I can kick in before I'm ready for just a big creature that I can't even cast right now. Wasteland and Basic Swamp in the same deck. Who does this? There's the whole range of black aggro, black stompy. This could be just Dimir Tempo that happens to have their one Basic Swamp. Right, if they're taking Force of Will, then they're not Dimir Tempo. The what combo deck has Wasteland in it? We're in strange territory, team. I'm going to brainstorm now before Bowmaster can eat my life. Mystic Sanctuary goes away, and I think with 2 other removal spells in hand, I get rid of the Murderous Cut. And I'm going to pass. I hate the idea of getting like opposition agented, and I don't have black to Fatal Push it in response to anything. I don't actually know what's going on yet. Okay, Dimir has emerged. They could be Reanimator. Just some take on my build of Reanimator from Eternal Weekend. That's a Wasteland deck that might not want Force of Will to be in my grip. Where do I need green mana? It's Beanstalks, Goyfs. Right, I'm going to get a backup Underground Sea. Black's more important than green. Ooh. What does that do? I could slam the Demonic Bargain and see what happens. That doesn't sound like a good idea, though. Yeah, I'm just going to pass. Ponder is going to resolve. There is the tempo build of Doomsday that has some Wastelands in it. Another Wasteland. Hate that. I hope they need it for mana more than they need me to be down a land. Okay, we're in my upkeep. And I have not been Wastelanded. Which probably means they have a spell to cast, which probably means Orcish Bowmaster. I could just play my land and pass. I hit the thing I was really worried about, which was my land drop. Yeah, I don't think I want to get into a showdown with a Bowmaster. Just not wasting me there when I was already down a land and I had 1 color exposed. It's suspicious. All right, now I guess I'm playing into it, whether I like it or not. I have Fatal Push. What I'm worried about is them also having Force of Will. Fatal Push that. Okay. We survived the worst of it. Look at this. I get to decide what Thoughtseize takes here. Because I put back 2, and then they have to take the 1 spell that's still in the hand. Do I want them to take Demonic Bargain, and then I draw Witherbloom Command and I can do more stuff? Or do I want to give them Bloodchief Thirst and Bargain in the future? I think they can have the Bloodchief Thirst. And then I'll try to turn the tide and Wasteland them. I'm not shuffling my deck. I am wasting Underground Sea. Got a little bit of a situation with Witherbloom Command. Because target player has to mill 3 cards, I don't have to target myself if I don't want to lose that tutor. Or I could fetch and just mill random cards. Or I could mill my opponent, which could be dangerous because if they're Reanimator, that's just horrific. If they are Dimir Tempo, they're going to have Nether Goyfs, Murktides, that sort of stuff. You don't really want to be milling Dimir decks in the dark. But I do want a tutor on top of my deck. All right, I'm going to mill them against Medical Advice. Milled Underground Sea, 2 Tamios. Yeah, all right, that went okay. And I got my Wasteland back. Yeah, no Reanimate monsters, nothing that makes Murktide bigger, no Nether Goyfs. Box is checked. Roll the dice, hit the boxcars. Thoughtseize me again. Let's go. Let's go. All right, well, there's Nether Goyf. Okay, they're wasting me off green. There is another Trop in the deck. They know I'm drawing a card I actually want because of how I played last turn. I do have to fetch the Trop to make sure it doesn't accidentally get exiled forever. And I'm going to make a Demonic Bargain. Okay, what did I exile? Push, Thoughtseize, Cut, Bowmaster, Beanstalk, Murktide. All right, just some generic stuff. Nothing super important. I could grab up the Beanstalk here and try to grind back in. We got a hell yeah in the chat. Hell yeah, indeed. The Beanstalk, try to pull ahead. I am out of Fatal Pushes. They're all gone. I could put Bowmaster in front of this thing. How many Beanstalk triggers do I still have in the deck? It's Murktide. Yeah, my life total's pretty high. I'm gonna take Beanstalk. An opponent missed a land drop last turn. Not only missed a land drop, but put one of their own lands in the graveyard on purpose. If they have a third Wasteland here, or a Thoughtseize, I could be in some trouble. Uh-oh. It's not land. It's not a third Wasteland. It is Thoughtseize. Shit. Okay. Alright, we're gaming. That's not as bad as Wasteland would have been, because this is actually my last green source. There are no more of those coming. I'm going to play Wasteland in case they get cheeky with Undercity Sewer here. These decks usually have an island, but I'm not letting you get anything past me. Oh, deck, please. Why? Is my Mystic Sanctuary still in the deck? Did it get exiled? Mystic Sanctuary can access Demonic Bargain. Or just something simple like Ponder. Okay, passing the turn. I can even get Fatal Push if I'm feeling like a wuss. I go to 8. I fetch to 7. Opponent's got 5 cards in hand, and we know they're all spells. Mystic Sanctuary. Recover this. I think it's Ponder. I would prefer Brainstorm, but that's so much worse if they have Bowmaster. And I'm not prepared to do hyper-aggressive shit like Wasteland their Polluted Delta, they fetch in response, then I Brainstorm before they have 2 mana. A Bowmaster basically confirmed here by this fetch. We need big moves. If I can put a Murktide in front of this stuff, that's a plan. Oh god. Oh, I can Murderous Cut the Nethergoyf, go to 4 from Bowmaster, fetch with Misty Rainforest, get nothing because I'm out of fetchables. Or I could shuffle and try to do something better. I'm going to shuffle. And dead. Okay. Alright. The cleaner, lower to the ground version of my deck got me. But we are pretty good in this matchup, I think, overall. As Force of Wills come out, we're just playing to the ground here. The Demonic Bargain is, like, cool and stuff, but it's not what this matchup's about. It's about Bowmaster superiority and having good cards. I think I'm also going to shave Rakshas's Bargain. As hyped as I was about Bargain when it was first printed, I think it is worse than the 4th Beanstalk in general. Also, I think that the technology of Legacy has moved past Bug as the color of beans you want to be, because Felia and Quantum Riddler do so much for the archetype. From there, how many colors, how aggressive you want to be, it's really up to you. Do you want to be all 5 colors for just everything, like Leyline Binding and beyond? Or do you want to be just Bant? Do you want to be Bant with 1 Xander's Lounge or whatever to get Domain, but you don't actually use those colors? But I think Bant with Felia and Quantum Riddler at the core is where you want to be for Beanstalks. Love this. All right, keep. Carpet of Flowers is just such a pain in the ass for any deck like theirs. You might be able to play around it for a little while, but eventually you can't anymore. And I am just deploying it immediately before it can get Thoughtseized or dazed. Like once Carpet's in play, they can't daze anything anymore. Because if they have an island to daze with, then by definition Carpet can pay for daze. Scalding Tarn. That can't get a swamp. Basic Island Ponder. Let's go. Did not shuffle Ponder. Bowmaster. Yeah, I'm going to make blue and cast this Tameo. Blue to Delta. Ponder. Found another Ponder. Now opponent's going to have to think really hard if they want to counter a Ponder or deal with a flip Tameo this early. Beanstalk, baby. All right, I'm going to put Beanstalk on top of my deck because I don't want it Thoughtseized, but I am excited to see it. Thank you, Carpet of Flowers. Wasteland. I care very little about that because Carpet is doing that work. And if they're trying to play the Wasteland small ball game while Tameo ticks up, that historically does not go well for anyone. It cut me off green. Air quotes. Cut me off green. Not actually. Yes, make a green. Cycle Lorien Revealed. Get Trop. Play Trop. Play Beanstalk. Emergency Brainstorm in response. Even if this finds days, I don't really care. That sets them back a land when Tameo is still ticking. Force pitching Harbinger of the Seas. Okay. I am just plussing this Tameo. They might have a Sheoldred's Edict. They might have a Brazen Borrower. They have a Wasteland. Okay, the double Wasteland Harbinger of the Seas game when I'm just plussing Tameo to the moon. Not where you want to be. I am going to make a black. And I'm going to cast Nile Spellbomb with non-black. Then I'm going to Spellbomb them and draw a card. I'm just doing all this now because Murktide Regent was one of the cards that could have mattered here. Yeah, now they're on Petty Theft, Sheoldred's Edict, or Bust for the most part. Or they could represent Orcish Bowmaster and then try to win a counter war over top of it, I guess. Okay, now I feel pretty confident. Make black. I can Bowmaster twice. I'm going to try to draw half my deck. They're going to try to Bowmaster me. I'm going to Bowmaster their Bowmaster. Then they might have a counterplay, they might not. But I have a second Bowmaster if they do. Here's this. This game is going to end one way or the other right now. All right, that just resolved immediately, so we're done. Okay, I take one. I draw 21. Ooh, Nethergoyf, who's currently 0. That's good. That's good stuff. I don't think I even have to play a card here, but... oh god, do I have a fetchable left? Underground Sea. Underground Sea. How many of those are in the deck? 2. Yeah, I think Basic Swamp is the only card I can fetch in my deck left. And Misty Rainforest doesn't get that one. Okay, yeah, maybe I was just supposed to fetch ahead of time to get ahead of that. Alright, well, I have my deck in my hand. I'm just going to pass the turn and let my opponent figure it out through Veil of Summer. Is Veil of Summer good versus blue-black decks? Just wondering. Just checking my mana base again. Mystic Sanctuary, is that still in there? Hymn to Turok, LMAO. Alright, I mean, I'm going to Veil it all the same, but Hymn to Turok into a 23-card hand is the most heroic thing I've ever seen. Okay, they've seen enough. They fished out one more sideboard card's worth of information, but I also got the information that they play Hymn to Turok. I think this is still the deck that I have. I don't think play draw really affects anything I'm trying to do here. Toxic Deluge and Rakshas's Bargain both have reasonable spots where you could imagine them being good. They also both have spots where you can imagine them being piles of crap. Yeah, this is what I'm doing. We got the one of Carpet in the grip again, but on the draw it's a bit worse. It's susceptible to Thoughtseize and Daze in this position. But I'm still going to Snapkeep the hand. Opponent also got 7 over there. Basic Swamp. Nethergoyf. Okay, they played around the carpet. Very good. Well done. I'm still going to play the carpet. Drop carpet. You can play on a swamp for a little while, but not for very long. Immediately, Island appears. Brainstorm, pre-combat buffs the Goyf, but there's no shuffle available here. Thoughtseize is going to take either Tameo or Brainstorm, I would imagine. I think I would take Brainstorm here. The reason is there's two things that Thoughtseize does. It both takes their best card and gives you a roadmap for the next several turns of the game. And if you leave an opponent with Brainstorm, then they cast Brainstorm and you lose half of what Thoughtseize was good for, which is the roadmap for the second half of the game, because you no longer know what's in their hand. Also, this Engineered Explosive is kind of bad because it would take out Nethergoyf, but it would also take out Carpet of Flowers. And opponent came to the same conclusion I did. A Bowmaster. I don't really want the first one of those on the battlefield. I'll make blue. I'll cast Tameo. Make my land drop. And pass. Murktide's heating up. We're almost there. It wouldn't be very big yet, but I could put it into play. A second island appears. You've got a Tameo. Playing that pre-combat means I don't even have to think about Kaito, which I appreciate. I'm going to end step fetch for Hedge Maze. I think the extra selection is worth the color situation here, because I have another fetch, and I have Carpet. Ooh, how many of these do I think is an acceptable number to put on the stack? Yeah, I'll put it on top, I guess. I am not going to use Carpet yet. Fatal Push. Okay, that's interesting, because now Engineered Explosives is a 2-for-2. Is this a place I want to go? Okay. I am going to use Carpet. If I blow up my Carpet, we both have 3 lands. I have 3 cards in hand. They have 2. If I make black here, I could blow up their stuff and then play Murktide. All right, I'm going to make 2 black. Engineer Explosives for 1. Bust it. Fetch for Underground Sea. This did create a different set of problems, but it did turn around the immediate situation. If they have a Murktide, it's going to be better than my Murktide. Barrowgoyf. I exiled the artifact and enchantment from my graveyard on purpose because of that guy. Cosmogoyf. Oh my god, it's 5/6. Were you ready for this? Attack with Murktide. I'll trade a Cosmogoyf for a Barrowgoyf. Lurgoyf Combat. Lurgoyf Supremacy. Mine's an elemental Lurgoyf. Yours is just a regular Lurgoyf. Block. Well, that worked out well. Don't have another one. I'm not ready for another one. Oh no. Okay. The race continues. Not bad. Okay. I can touch Goyfs with them. We could Goyf battle, where I just let theirs in, and then mine pushes back. I could chump with Murktide. All right, I'm going to play my Barrowgoyf, and I'm not going to attack with Murktide. I'm going to let my opponent decide how they want to engage here. They have access to another Goyf here. They have instant creature land sorcery to exile. Harbinger of the Seas. Well, that does make my life harder. Opponent has 1 black, I have 0. Yeah, blowing up that carpet feels a little silly now, but I'm not going to live in regret. I'll just drop my swamp, it's fine. A Cosmogoyf. Alright, I have a blocker. I'll offer the Barrowgoyf trade and see if they want to trade, chump, or let me in. Okay, we got the trade, it seems. Nope. Maybe. To be determined. The dice they're rolling here are what can I do with blue mana? Even if I hit them with Goyf, if I mill 4, Murktide's my best hit. Tamiyo would let me chump for a turn. I'm not winning the damage race anyway. Okay. We've traded Goyfs, and they're betting their 2/2 against my 4/4, but they have 1 black mana and I have 0. Is this a hard cast Kaito? That would be pretty solid. Oh, it's just another Goyf from the bin. That's fine. I accept. I am now losing the race. Murderous Cut someday. Well, I can't race them, so I'm not going to. I'm looking for blue cards or the swamp to unlock my hand. I am a blue deck. This isn't Blood Moon. And we're just passing back and forth. A blue card. Pretty good one, too, I dare say. It's good at blocking 2/2s, and it does stuff. Right, it does a little less now. If I find any land in the next 2 turns, I could attack with Tamiyo twice, bank 2 clues, guarantee a flip, and go into Tamiyo gaming. Oh no, the 3rd Barrowgoyf! Okay, I think we're going to lose to getting Blood Mooned here. So close. Alright, Tamiyo's got to go in. And I will judge this turn by what they do, how they attack. Barrowgoyf is currently 3/4, which means my Murktide does get to eat it. Stop! No! Were there creatures and instants in the graveyard already? Okay, this doesn't change the size of that. Okay. That's in the graveyard now. I can't really let Barrowgoyf tee off on me. I also can't afford to... Yeah, that's just lose-lose. Yeah, I'm just losing because I can't cast spells and my opponent can. 2nd Harbinger. Alright. I guess I might as well draw a card here. It's not getting better. Basic Swamp for all the money? No, alright. Alright, I technically have 1 more draw step, but yeah, scoring me off the mana, that early Engineered Explosive blowing up my carpet, I don't think my opponent can ever win this game if I have carpet active, or if I just fetch Basic Swamp early, both of which were things that I had access to. But I was behind and the carpet made sense at the time. 3 Barrowgoyfs is a lot. Yeah, even if my mana wasn't shut off, the 2nd and 3rd Barrowgoyf probably are bad news. Alright, well, GG's, on to the next round.
This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and everything else you'll see on this channel. There's multiple customizations so you can interact with your deck how you want. Views such as text, grid, or stacks, and groupings like type, subtype, color, color identity, even artist. The site offers light mode, dark mode, and so much more. However you want to see your deck, Moxfield can provide it for you. Follow my Moxfield to keep up with the channel and what I'm playing in paper. I'll see you there.
I'm on the play in round 3. I'm going to keep. I can interact and I can cantrip. I can interact with combos or with creatures and then find the rest of the game. I'm in. We're playing against Schultz Cubed, who has certainly submitted decks to this channel in the past. Hello, Schultz. And we got a hi YouTube. Everyone say hi to Schultz Cubed again. Crop Rotation is clearly the best card in this hand. Expedition Map could get things going pretty quick, but that's just like a Crop Rotation that costs 3 as a sorcery instead of 1 as an instant. Foothills did not expose the map. I'm going to ponder first. I would really like to find a Wasteland. What the shit? Do we have a main deck Pyroblast? Okay, sure, whatever. Here's Tameo. Okay, main deck Pyroblast, surprise. Here is the map. We're probably going to see... Okay, Wasteland's fine. My hand is really good against Wasteland. There is, of course, a limit to that. At some point, my hand won't be good against Wasteland anymore. But I can fetch some basics if I even want to. I think I do. And I'm just going to draw a card now. Okay. The Thespian Stage is in the hand. The Ancient Tomb is there to get the Expedition map going. Life from the Loam. Yikes. Okay. Up the Beanstalk. Well, that flips Tameo. They can't quite go off next turn. Both of these fetch Island, which is my next fetch target. I'm going to get the drop into play. Beanstalk, draw a card, ponder, flip Tameo. And I'd very much like to see one of my 2 Wastelands before that Dark Depths is my business. I like Nile Spellbomb. It's really slow, though. Like, that helps later. All right. Don't shuffle. Draw Tameo. This is force blue card for up the Beanstalk. The Nile Spellbomb can break up the Loam, and then I just have to solve the Merit Lage issue at some point. Urza's Saga. Copying Urza's Saga before I can present Wasteland. That's going to be icky. Okay, there's Nile Spellbomb. I'm going to fetch first. And I think I want Hedge Maze. What am I looking for this turn? A threat. I don't want Hedge Maze. I guess I'll just get the Island. Play Island, or use that Spell Bomb. I'm just going to cantrip this off now. Clear the Loam. I'm looking for Murktide or just something that can hit them. Witherbloom Command is not the worst card I've ever seen. Plus Tameo. I can blow up Expedition Map, mill myself. Okay, destroy Expedition Map, target player mills 3, target myself with that. Looking for that Wasteland. Still haven't found it. I will recover my Tropical Island, though. This Bloodchief Thirst, pretty awkward, specifically in regards to an end-step construct. If this is Fatal Push, then Tameo is not under any combat pressure. Shadow Spear has to be okay, I guess. Ancient Tomb. I still haven't found that Wasteland, that clutch Wasteland that I've been searching for my whole life. I could minus Tameo, get Rakshas's Bargain, see a gajillion cards this turn, but then Tameo is not threatening to go off next turn, but she is barely threatening that anyway with all of this, and if there's a Pithing Needle in the deck, that's no good. All right, I'm going to get back Rakshas's Bargain, which is also going to trigger Tameo's flavor text of giving me 1 mana. I'd like a green, and then cast Bargain, which draws a card, then sees a bunch more cards. Hedge Maze, not it. Cosmogoyf Murktide, okay. Put 2 of them into your hand. So you choose the ones you want with this one. Gifts Ungiven, it's the opposite. Okay, put these in my hand. 2 lands to the bin. Murktide is huge. Cosmogoyf is 0-1, but Murktide will make it bigger. I still have 1 more draw this turn. Do I want to try to draw a Wasteland, or do I want to try to draw Fatal Push? I can still play a Tameo in the fail case here. All right. I'm going to play Murktide, and I'm going to make it as big as I can, leaving Witherbloom Command in the graveyard. Because recovering that one could get me out of an Urza's Saga situation. Brainstorm drawn. Could play the other Tameo as a blocker. Yeah, I guess I just want meat on the board. Material. And having this Tamiyo with Brainstorm in my hand and Beanstalk active makes me less fearful of losing the first Tamiyo. The Saga now knows how to make constructs, but there is a limited window in which to turn that into a different land before it dies. Bathing Needle, yep, played around it. Could name Wasteland with this, but I have the Witherbloom command in the graveyard, so that doesn't solve the problem of setting up Dark Depths for 2 turns from now. Yep, Tamiyo is the name still. Construct's not big enough to party. Oh, this stage is in play. I didn't know about that. Shifting Woodland is here now. There is another Witherbloom command in my deck. Ooh, alright. Good draw. Good draw. Alright, I'm just playing out the Wasteland now before my opponent is able to play around it any better than they are. Bloodchief Thirst, one of these tokens. And attack for 8 plus a clue. And then play a 5/6. What's up, big Cosmogoyf? Welcome to the game. And I'll pass the turn. Opponent has to do something with Urza's Saga here. Making a construct. Okay, I'm going to wipe this out now, which takes out the Thespian stage, which makes me less afraid of Dark Depths. Opponent is dead to combat on board with Force of Will in my hand. Okay, wow. That game was tricky on every turn. Alright, playing against lands. I want a little graveyard hate. I want some juicy threats. I want to be able to sweep up constructs. Some number of consigns might be okay. Force of Negation is a side grade from Force of Will. As a Beanstalk deck, I don't want to go too crazy cutting my forces. Witherbloom Command MVP. Bloodchief Thirst sucks. I'd rather have Fatal Push, and even that I don't really want. Yeah, the build of this deck, making room for the silly cards, the Cosmogoyf, the Demonic Bargain, this is at the cost of Sheoldred's Edict and Petty Theft, which are some of my best weapons in this matchup. And that's okay. We knew we weren't breaking the format. But maybe Cosmogoyf can just 20-ball this opponent in this matchup. Where can I fit some consigns? I don't really need 3 Thoughtseize in this matchup. After like turn 2, their hand just doesn't have cards in it anymore. Though seeing the roadmap, that game was pretty important. Even though, basically, I Thoughtseize them on turn 1, and then every single turn of the game, they played a card off the top of the deck that was better than every card I saw with Thoughtseize. But it was still good to know that Omeral Age was coming, or this Saga plan was available. All right, I think I'm shaving another Thoughtseize for another consign, and going like this. Null Rod is not without text, but it's also not high impact. It's been a long time since I got a mana off of Tamiyo's Minus. Feels good. In her natural habitat in a Simic deck. Well, this is why you leave 1 Thoughtseize in the deck, so it's in your opening hand. I will keep. The Wasteland is some of my clutch interaction for the matchup. Sylvan Library. All right, opponents. Bring in the heat here. Ooh, all right. I could Thoughtseize them into Orcish Bowmaster and slow down Sylvan Library. I could just Wasteland and pray to whatever god I believe in that they don't have Life from the Loam. Alright, I'll try this. This might just get smoked immediately. Alright, Sylvan Library going nuts over there. Pre-modern staple. Kept 1 card. Taiga. Okay. I didn't lose instantly to Life from the Loam. I'll take that as a dub. Thoughtseize you. Yeah, crop rotation. There's not a lot of spells in this deck, and a lot of them are crop rotation. A lot of them would have been cast in the main phase, and the other ones are crop rotation. Whether we see some path to Dark Depths or... Okay. Oh, they went for Wasteland. That's interesting. I guess that makes a lot of sense. And another Wasteland in hand, sure. They're going for Denial rather than Setup. Like, that could have been a Thespian stage. That could have been an Urza Saga. Instead, it was Wasteland. They're just going for the F you, buddy game plan, which I respect. There's a Wasteland. There's the other Wasteland. I have access to basic Island in my hand, not basic Swamp. Okay, pass. Sylvan Library going nuts. They have put themselves to 8 already, though. Down to 4. This is aggressive AF. Soul Guide Lantern. Timely. Murktide Regent does conveniently attack for their life total. Ponder. Okay, I think here I'm going to upkeep Bowmaster. This turns off Sylvan Library. Island. A Sacrificial Underground Sea. Put you to 3 life. Wasting me in response. It's letting me know that shit's happening. Okay, opponent's at 3. Using Sylvan Library would put them to 1. Didn't cycle off Soul Guide Lantern for a card when it was available. Tabernacle, that's fine. I will pay for Bowmaster, not pay for Army. And I guess I play my land first. I don't know how they would block, but I am at least showing Murderous Cut here. One is a 2. I am out of black sources to fetch. The basic is still in there, but Misty Rainforest can't access it. A red blasting my Ponder. I think that's got to be okay. Can they find the juice they're looking for before these last 2 life points run out? Sylvan Library is fully off at this point. Blast Zone. They could spend this turn getting that up to 2, next turn breaking it. But then Murktide's online. I should have played Murktide before combat, I think. If they think about it in combat, I'm in trouble. Okay, didn't think about it. 4/4 Murktide on the board. Now they got to answer that and that. Choke off the top kills me because all my lands are islands and I can't pay for Tabernacle. But they got problems to solve here. Oh, went for the goof. Activated Sylvan Library. Must not have found an out in the draw step. We got the GGs. Feels good to 2-0 lands, especially with a bunch of the slots in my deck for meme content cards instead of the cards that are actually good in the matchup. But a little bit of main deck graveyard hate breaking up that loam in game 1 and then just kind of knowing where to apply pressure in game 2. Feels good. On to the next round. The BoshNRoll channel is proudly partnered with the Resleevables. In this YouTube series, hosts Patrick Sullivan and Patrick Chapin go set by set through Magic's past, leveraging their decades of experience as Pro Tour players and game designers to analyze the good, the bad, and the ugly of Magic's history. Each episode is a deep dive into the facts, mechanics, cycles, trivia, decks of the time, and historical context of the set. The hosts dig into notable cards of the era and their lasting impact today. Each set gets an award show where the hosts pick their favorite cards for categories such as Best, Worst, and Weirdest. And finally, give a letter grade for the set's overall success. Whether you want a history lesson or a nostalgia hit, The Resleevables has it at youtube.com/theresleevables. I am on the play in round 4. I feel like I've won a lot of die rolls this league. I'm going to keep this the beanstalkiest hand I've seen in probably a year and a half of Magic. My plan here is Hedge Maze, drop Beanstalk, but obviously if my opponent does something that shakes that, we will reconsider. All right, well, Thoughtseize can look at 2 copies of the same very important card in my hand. I do also have the option here of wastelanding them, cycling Lore Revealed. All right, JK. Nope, no I don't. There's no basic forest in my deck to play around Wasteland. I'm just going to send it here on the Hedge Maze. Bowmaster, I don't want that right now. I would like to make sure my mana is stable for the game. They've got a Daze here, that's not ideal. All right, I accept the Daze and hope they don't have a Wasteland, or that I draw another land immediately. Ponder, okay, we're in business. Drawing a land here would be huge, because if I Wasteland them, then they can't Daze me. Shuffled Ponder. Big draws. Shit. All right. Don't Daze me, bro. Force of Negation pitching Delver. Interesting. All right. I'm going to force pitching Brainstorm and try to let Rakshas's Bargain get cooking later. I still have a land drop if I can hit it. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. Fetch. Underground Sea. Play Nile Spellbomb. Do I want to just rip this off? I think I do. As much as I'd love to have a card off of that, if they just go like Island Murktide Regent, that is a plan I could have beat. Yeah, fetch land would have been fine because I can respond to the fetch with the bomb, but it ends up being almost the same except they don't have Scalding Tarn in the graveyard. And that Force of Will pitching Delver is really interesting. Is this, like, what are we playing against? I don't even know. Tamio's in play though. Okay. It's party time. Cycle Orion Revealed. Get Underground Sea. They didn't Daze me last turn. I don't think they have it now. Send in the goods. I will take the two things that are not lands and pass. Okay, if they can flip Tamiyo right now, I might have some worries. If Tamiyo is still a creature, come my turn, I think I'll be okay. Him to Turok, all right. Well, game on then. It did clear the Fatal Push, which was one of the important cards. Brainstorm's no slouch, though. Yeah, all right, there we go. Let's delete this Tamiyo. Do I even want to Brainstorm? I don't think so. I'm going to waste Underground Sea and pass. Wasting Underground Sea versus Undercity Sewers, if they both stay and play the whole game, it just doesn't matter. But if they're doing days stuff, you have to weigh, do I want this game to be about them getting an extra card of selection when they days pick up Sewer? All right, I played around that. That was the goal. It's still a scary card, though. Ooh, all right. I think what I want to do here is actually force the Bowmaster on the way down and then draw Bowmaster off the top of my deck. That way, if the last card in their hand is a counterspell, I still win this game, or win this interaction. Anyway, the thing I was saying is, if they have days picking up Undercity Sewers, am I worried about them looping a Surveil, or am I worried about them having lands that enter the battlefield tapped? And when you only have one land, I don't mind it entering tapped. Instep Bowmaster. Kind of stoked to see that, because now I get to clean up with mine. I was a little worried about if they were just going to crack Clue, if it's right to play out my Bowmaster. But I got the best of all worlds on that one. Alright, Fatal Push. Opponent's Hellbent. We both have a 1-1. They have a Clue token. I have a Beanstalk. Game on. The next good draw wins the game, probably. Oh, they appear to be casting Murktide. Oh no, the blue pause. I know what this means on MTGO. My deck does have answers to Murktide. I've got Murderous Cuts. I've got my own Murktides that are bigger. That's not any of them. Though it is Mystic Sanctuary. All right. I have to take this hit for 6, and then I can figure out what I'm going to do. Swamp, draw. Okay. Important decision now is greed or intelligence. I could put Rakshas's Bargain on top of my deck and go nuts. But if I whiff, I lose. Or I can just put Bloodchief's Thirst on top of my deck and I don't get any extra value. Have I told you that I love value? Mystic Sanctuary, target, bargain. I'm going for it. Going crazy. All right, draw for turn, bargain. If they have another Bowmaster here, that would be pretty shitty for me. It'll push. Cosmogoyf, Wasteland. Uh-oh, I might have lost this game. All right, I'm going to take Cosmogoyf and Wasteland. I'm going to waste the Undercity Sewers this time. And pass the turn. Yeah, so on those 5 looks, I was looking for 2 Murderous Cuts, 3 Murktides. I wonder what I would do at the Legacy Pro Tour. Would I have behaved differently in that spot? Big draws, had it anyway. Shut up, leave me alone. I was right. That's how that works. Okay, if they have Force Blue card, I might still lose here. Okay, I've got a Murktide. I've got the big cause, 7-8. That's the evolution of the 6-7 meme. It's the natural progression. I lose to a removal spell here. Yeah, I'll chip in for 1. I got the Big O squad. It's dead to petty theft, but what do you want from me? Yeah, that Murktide was just 1 card under, and if it shows up Blaster, and I think I'm just fine. Let's just hope their hand is nothing. Bricks, bricks, bricks. Moment of truth. Boo, boo. Well, I've lost. And my opponent has 37 cards left in their deck, and I have 26. I saw 11 more cards that game than they did, but they had them in the correct order. Veil of Summer, Barrogoyf, and in all seriousness, that turn where I could decide to for sure kill the Murktide and then spin my wheels, or just get my wheels completely greased, but maybe be down to the Murktide. We knew what was going on, and still made that decision. I wouldn't fault anyone for making the other one. You could probably actually do real math and figure out the odds there of 5 hits, 5 looks at 5 hits out of a 30-something card deck. That math's not even hard to do. Right, I think I'm going to shave one Thoughtseize, Veil, Barrowgoyf, Carpet. I know the Engineered Explosives is over there. I don't think I want to mess with that. Keep. I've got basic lands, even though that's not really everything in this matchup. I don't have a forest to cast all my spells with. Why is this so little? What's going on? There you go. There we go. Okay. Barrowgoyf, Sheoldred's Edict, Thoughtseize, Bowmaster, Ponder. Getting Thoughtseize back isn't ideal. Getting Bowmastered ever is not ideal. I think I have to let the Barrowgoyf be a later problem. I'm going to take the Bowmaster, because my deck is just so central to drawing cards. That's the advantage my opponent has over me is a lower curve and only 2 colors, and the advantage I have over them is insane gas in the mid game. And if that insane gas just kills me, what good is it? So they drew Basic Swamp and cast Thoughtseize with it. Took my Ponder with the plan of curving out into Sheoldred's Edict to clear Tamiyo. That makes sense to me. It also makes sense to me to jam a turn 3 Barrowgoyf, see what's up. Island, Tamiyo, and I actually can't play out this Spell Bomb yet because then I wouldn't be able to cycle for Lorien. Scalding Tarn, that is not the fetch land I knew about. I still have perfect info despite them drawing 2 cards so far this game. Edict, my Tamiyo. Tamiyo eats a dick. Go get Tropical Island. Love to draw a removal spell. All right, Barrowgoyf, you're in there. We know everything the opponent has access to. They're probably going to park their Goyf in front of mine. And I'm going to try really hard to draw a removal spell. Another fetch land, which is not the one I know about. Still protecting this polluted delta with their life. All right, Fatal Push off the top. Murderous Cut. None of the above. Nile Spell Bomb. I'm going to bomb them pre-combat, as this is another draw to find an answer to their Barrowgoyf. And we did it. Play to your outs. Fetch. Push Goyf. I actually could have done that a little better. The sequencing, like you draw the card before anything else happens. So I could actually have Barrowgoyf exiled as well from their graveyard, just in case they have a reanimate or way to pick that up in some capacity. All right, finally this Ponder deployed. We know 2 of the 3 cards in hand are lands. Barrowgoyf is, you guessed it, 6/7. Barrowgoyf has the perfect arms to do the 6/7 thing too. Look at those big, beefy skin arms that are connected directly to its mouth. Okay, Ponder did not shuffle, and then they've played out Polluted Delta. All right. I'm going to attack with Barrowgoyf. It's probably going to get blocked, either bounced by Petty Theft or blocked by Orcish Bowmaster. Those are my guesses of what's about to happen here. Yeah, bounced by Petty Theft is fine. And then I'm going to play Murktide first, because then Mystic Sanctuary can make it bigger. All right, what spells do I want back on top of my deck? Probably Murderous Cut. And I'm going to play another Murktide next turn. How do I maximize here? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 6, 7. I have 7 spells in my graveyard. I'm going to put one of them on top of my deck. All right, I'm going to make Murktide a 5/5. Then Mystic Sanctuary makes it a 6/6, putting Murderous Cut on top of my deck. And then I'll play Barrowgoyf and hope the mystery card in their hand is not Daze. But if Daze is the card in their hand, then they have 2 lands facing down this lethal Murktide. I think that just has to be okay. And Brazen Borrower can block it. Okay, Daze is pretty good. But I'm in the slam it and make you die phase of the game. Like, I actually just have lethal here with the Murderous Cut on top and Kaito. All right. Stun this Murktide. Then I can play the other one. Murderous Cut's in my hand. All right, there we go. Second Murktide's in. It's bigger than Kaito. I can Murderous Cut. It won't make the Murktides any bigger because I'm out of spells. But I can play the card around Daze. Undercity Sewers. Hail Mary from hand. Dump to Wasteland. Surveil 2. What are we looking for here? What functions out of the graveyard? Like roll over a Nethergoyf, put it into play, can't block anyway? What's the play? Clinging to Dust wouldn't help here. They know I have Murderous Cut, so like if they're fueling a Murktide in their hand, we know that doesn't matter. This isn't a draw because I haven't lost life this turn. And they milled over Thoughtseize and kept a card on top. Okay. Do I attack Kaito here? I think so. That's just like literally doing anything, and it can delete itself for a stun next turn. I'm not that interested in any of that happening. Okay, opponent just tapped out of Orcish Bowmaster, so I'll Brainstorm. If I hit my Bowmaster, I could save my cut. Thoughtseize Veil, all good stuff. Okay. Thoughtseize not that good. Veil could cantrip. This is actually almost a lethal attack if I had gone face, because Brainstorm goes to the graveyard, I Veil, I draw a card, I Murderous Cut, exile 2, they go to 1. Yeah, that's not very good. Okay, I'm going to put back Thoughtseize and Wasteland, or Wasteland Thoughtseize. Yeah, in this order. Then I'm going to cut the Borrower. This grows the 2 Murktides. Okay, they're just conceding to that. All right, sure. Cool. The only thing to think about is this Engineered Explosives. Do I want it? It would be over the Demonic Bargain, but I am making content here. All right. I'm going in like this. Lands, Goyf, removal, Cape. Blue to Delta. Thoughtseize, go ahead, dig in. Take Cosmogoyf. Are you scared? Do you fear it? I can actually see arguments for any of the non-Cosmogoyf cards in my hand, depending on what their hand looks like. All right. It looks like they're not ready for that. I'm going to cast Ponder off of a basic and get this game moving. Okay. A Tamiyo and a Veil. I like those. I'll shuffle away the Goyf. Brainstorm. Okay, the Brainstorm doesn't have a shuffle. Okay, Ponder can shuffle it. But this is probably good news for my Tamiyo resolving. Didn't shuffle Ponder. Okay, so Brainstorm, couldn't shuffle. Ponder likes everything you're looking at. Scary all around. Okay, passing the turn. I have Veil up to protect Tamiyo, or I can at least have a fight over it. They're a Daze deck, and I'm not. That's something that they have in these early parts of the game that I don't have access to. But Veil is obviously devastating anytime it happens. Wasteland, sad. Delver. Yeah, I guess we did see one of those in game 1, right? Or was that the last opponent? I honestly don't even remember. I desperately don't want to draw Cosmogoyf, but I also don't want to get Wastelanded here. Okay, attack with Tamiyo. We'll start there. Sweet. The clues in the bank. And I think I want to Fatal Push in the upkeep. Okay, never mind. I'm going to Fatal Push Orcish Bowmaster, not Delver Secrets. And I don't care enough about this Orc army to Veil of Summer now. I got bigger fish to fry. Okay, all that cantripping, Delver still didn't flip. Sweet. Good news. Oh, is it time? Is it Barrogoyf time? Are we there? I'm not ready for Barrogoyf, but there he is. And I'm going to have to expose my green source to Wasteland because I have to draw a card here and try to figure out Barrogoyf. Drop. Draw. Oh, the Beanstalk. You're a little late, my friend. Okay, drawing a land that functions is helpful. Step in the right direction. A Beanstalk first. Leaving up black because that's my removal color. Well, there's a start for next turn, I guess. I can at least put my opponent in the spot where they have to decide if they want to kill Tamiyo or get Goyfin. Fetch another green. Draw a card. Tamiyo flips. Bowmaster. This is an important turn for Delver to not flip, though they would still need Barrogoyf's help to finish off Tamiyo. All right, here we go. Big turn. Opponent has real decisions to make. Delver did not flip, so Barrogoyf doesn't actually even kill Tamiyo here. Not without help anyway. A Bowmaster gets it done. Another card type in the graveyard gets it done. But we're at a pivotal phase of the game. And this turn is important because I have these 3 late game value cards that I have in the early game. And it's all 3 of them. I think if any one of these was just some spell, like a Bowmaster or a Fatal Push or a Ponder or something, life is better. But we're still working through it on the back of the Mighty Tamiyo. Like if opponent goes face with Barrogoyf here, rolls the dice, doesn't hit a banger, Tamiyo then takes over the game next turn. But if they just like Barrowgoyf hit Murktide, I'm in a lot of trouble. All right, here we go. Barrowgoyf attacking Tamiyo. Tamiyo goes to 1. Do we have the Bowmaster to finish her off? No. Okay, I was about to be disappointed, but it's okay. We did it. And look at this. They let me get into my turn without wasting any of my islands, which means I could put Fatal Push on top of my deck. All right, Mystic Sanctuary, target Fatal Push. Just get that in the bank. I'm going to need that at some point. Yes, I'd like to do that. Plus Tamiyo. I am short on black mana here, but I'm going to play a Bowmaster, take out their Delver, put 2 blockers in front of Barrowgoyf. If they have any way to fight over this, the Veil draws the push. Take out Delver before that becomes anything else. Okay, passing the turn. Veil of Summer is kind of funny here, because if I Veil, that goes into the Void, then they can Veil in the future, and we both care about that. Though the Voidwalker is passively helping my Cosmogoyfs. Okay, Chump Block, Barrowgoyf, you gain some life. Voidwalker breaks even against Tamiyo. Fatal Push on top of the deck, we all know it. Him to Turok, the blowout that we've been waiting for. All right, I draw Fatal Push. Him to Turok goes to the graveyard. I now have 1 card in exile, thanks to Dauthi Voidwalker. Okay, plus Tamiyo. Now I have to decide how I want to navigate this game. I could kill Voidwalker first and then move on, or I could leave Voidwalker in play where it makes my Goyfs bigger, but it is like weird to play the game that way, to fuel them up so hard. But I think I like it. Right, Brainstorm. Wow, Zowie, look at these cards. Okay. Cosmogoyf going away. It might just be both Cosmogoyfs, let's be serious. Do I need a second Beanstalk? How good is Witherbloom Command here? Alright, I'm putting away both Cosmogoyfs. You got me. Fetch. Underground Sea. Thoughtseize you. Petty Theft 2 dazes. Alright, I'll take Petty Theft. Double daze over there. Fatal Push Barrowgoyf. That is the one I'm worried about. And am I worried about them double dazing Beanstalk? I don't think so. If they want to pick up all of their lands and then lose to Barrowgoyf next turn, I'll take it. I guess they'd end up with a Beanstalk in the Void, but whatever, man. Enjoy that. Okay, game on. They've decided this is where they want to make their stand. Okay, the hand is 2 Underground Seas. I now have 6 cards in exile. And pass the turn. Game on, Dauthi Voidwalker versus a bunch of nothing. Voidwalker is now going face. Can no longer afford to think about Tamiyo. Draw for turn. Nile Spellbomb. Plus Tamiyo. Do I want to Witherbloom them? That gets me a land drop. Alright, target player mills 3, -3/-1. Do I care about Orc Army? Yeah, I do, actually. Alright, target player mills 3, -3/-1. Green, black. I get a Misty Rainforest back. I get to develop a Barrowgoyf, now that they have nothing that can block it. Here's my land for turn and Nile Spellbomb. Nile Spellbomb can't draw a card because of... I forgot to attack. I was busy narrating. Nile Spellbomb can't draw a card because of Voidwalker, but if my opponent uses this Fatal Push in the Void to clear my Barrowgoyf this turn, that turns it on, maybe. All right, you've got a Barrowgoyf. Voidwalker still taking chunks out of my face. And I've got a Surveil land in the deck still. Hedge Maze, find me something that kills Barrowgoyf, and then I win the game on the spot. Yeah, all right. Bloodchief Thirst on top. Big rips. And I can actually do it all here, because the way the rules work is that Dauthi Voidwalker dies before Bloodchief Thirst ends up in the graveyard. Cast Concaso. Oh no, that's a double black spell? Whoops. Well, I've made a mistake. That's fine. It's not a game ender. Yeah, I forgot that the kicker is also black. That's all right. I'll draw another card. Veil of Summer will keep me alive for a turn, and then I'll cook them next turn. Magic's hard. All right. Off we go. I'm going to chump block with Bowmaster, and then Tamiyo takes over the game next turn. Tamiyo plus Barrowgoyf. Wasting my Underground Sea. Yeah, that's smart, given that I just indicated I don't know how any of my cards work. Scalding Tarn. This is the second Barrowgoyf. That would be a bummer. Okay. We're just surveilling in the main phase. Dump to Polluted Delta. They can't really attack because I have a blocker and my Barrowgoyf would connect first. Though if they have Bowmaster in hand, then they can attack. Okay. Game on. I will chump with Bowmaster and give my Barrowgoyf a chance to shine and hope I didn't just make a huge mistake. Okay. There's a limit to how bad this could go now, because now I can kill their Barrowgoyf even if they do have a flash blocker. Okay. That is fine. Do I Veil here? I don't think so. Oh, I'm at 6. That's not very much. If I Veil here, they have to shoot themselves with Orcish Bowmaster. Oh, I'm going to gain life. No, this is fine. All right. I go to 5. The Bowmaster is neutralized by Tamiyo. They might even shoot Tamiyo. All right. And then I gain 4 from the chump block. And then I kill Barrowgoyf. And I pass the turn with Veil up and Tamiyo available. Okay, sweet. All right, I feel good. Using Veil does trigger Bowmaster and gives them another blocker. Murktide, which is smaller than Barrowgoyf. Deal. Together, they're still smaller than Barrowgoyf. That's sick. Okay, Tamiyo could get this Bloodchief Thirst back again. I'm just going to attack and see what they want to do. They want to do nothing. They want to take 4. I accept. Bowmaster, Murktide, Barrowgoyf. The world is my oyster. Okay, so, all right, well, they're just conceding. I was about to navigate. I mean, Murktide's my strongest creature, but triggering up the Beanstalk could betray me, but I could kill Bowmaster before I play the Murktide, and then we're just way ahead. All right, cool. Yeah, that early game where my opponent had Dazes available and my hand was full of Cosmogoyfs was awkward, but then we got into the late game where we saw my opponent's hand was 2 Dazes and a land, and I had up the Beanstalk running, and once you turn that corner, it's good games. And those were good games. On to the final round. We're a few rounds into the video. If you're still here and having fun, remember to hit that subscribe button. And if you want to play what I'm playing, use code BOSH for 5% off your order at toamagic.com. Eternal lives here. I'm on the draw in the final round. I'm going to keep my hand. It has Thoughtseize in it. And Demonic Bargain. That could be anything, literally. Opponent's on a Multa 6 with a 61 card deck. What's up with this? Why are people doing this shit? Did we forget how to build decks last year? All right, I mean, I'm playing against Loam, or I'm playing against lands, and they have a really good start. Beseiju Who Endures is one of the 3 cards in their hand. All right, if they wasteland me, then they're not activating Urza Saga, and I accept. 2 crop rotations. All right. Pretty strong hand for a Multa 5. Did not dredge Loam. They are looking to actually draw cards and play the game here. I think here I'm just going to pass and probably fetch for basic island in on their turn. What I hope here is they try to get clever with the Saga, like float a mana, rotate it away, I force the crop rotation, and then they lose a lot of action. Okay, I am fetching island. Unlike the last round where I played against lands, I'm not in great shape here. I don't have I'm not able to break up their Loam right now. They are playing around Murktide wisely. Loam targeting 3 things. Even knowing that crop rotation's in their hand, this still feels like a force of will to me. Okay. I can Demonic Bargain for Nihil Spellbomb. About a quarter of the time, my 1-of will be gone. All right, I mean, game on. Let's do it. This is what I signed up for. I would like Basic Swamp, but I think I need to guarantee that I at least temporarily have access to green. There's no Wasteland in sight just yet over there. I mean, the crop rotation could always be Wasteland. Maybe I messed up. It's fine. All right, Nihil Spellbomb, please still be in my deck. We did it. Okay, I have to break up this Loam loop or I'm never even playing this game. Both Witherbloom commands are gone. That's the only unique card that got cooked on that spell. Right, everything else is still in the deck, at least one copy. A Dredge. Unfortunately, this one Loam that they will successfully get to cast can target 3 Urza Sagas, and then I don't even think I can beat that. The way I would beat that is by dropping a giant Murktide and going over the top, but they have both Mazemith and Soul Guide Lantern. Loam targeting Foothill Saga. Yep, there it is. I guess I should take some solace in them leaving one Saga in the graveyard for me. And they didn't aggressively rotate for Wasteland and get that to be part of the game. My Wastelands are all still in my deck. Okay, drawing a land here is actually pretty good. I'll Spellbomb. Bomb you, draw a card. Beanstalk. Would I rather have that or Murktide? I'm gonna crack my fetch and see if my opponent even gives me the option. They might just Soul Guide Lantern right now. Okay, cool. That means that I'm just gonna cast Beanstalk. And that also means I can fetch Swamp because I don't need blue right now. Okay, can Beanstalk, double Beanstalk, defeat triple Urza Saga in a game? And there's only one Force of Will left in my deck, but Cosmogoyf is now at 22-23. Or 21-22, if it shows up. And they're both still in there. That's really funny. Alright, main phase, Construct, get the beats in. I am at 5. When did that happen? Orcish Bowmaster, that helps a lot. That's 2 blockers on a clutch turn where I'm going to need 2 blockers. Second Beanstalk. If they have Lava Spur Boots, I'm probably just dead. Okay, here we go. Construct number 3, Moment of Truth. Is Lava Spur Boots a card in your deck? Probably should be, because attacking for 21 with haste is pretty good. Alright, cool. And these are exactly 5 power creatures, so even letting one through, yeah, exactly dead. Okay. Fair enough. Okay. Barrogoyf. A lot of repeats in this league. Multiple Dimir Tempo and multiple lands. That Demonic Bargain for Nihil Spellbomb was sick, though. I don't mind saying it. It was dope as hell. Is this how I want to do this? I could add a Consign to Memory. I could leave more or fewer Thoughtseizes in. Very Macabre can clip a Loam. This card's pretty bad against everything they're doing except for exactly the card Light from the Loam, but against Loam it is pretty clutch that I'm able to stop it. Alright, I think I'm going to shave another Thoughtseize and do this. Okay, I do have Macabre. Not that I'm excited about that specifically, but if they have... Like last game they had a really aggressive Loam situation. But I've got mana here. I've got a Tamiyo cranking. Witherbloom Command's one of the better cards in the matchup. Mox Diamond resolves. Another Mox Diamond. God, I hope they cast Loam here. Choke. Well, I suppose I'm required to counter that. I understand why they kept the hand. Attack with Tamiyo. And then I don't play a Bayou or a Forest, so this just has to be Trop. And then Witherbloom Command. I'll mill 3 and I'll destroy a Mox Diamond. Black green. I will bring back Polluted Delta because I could get either of my basics. Alright, well, I hope that was good enough. 3 cards in their hand over there. Wasteland, I've played around it. You got me. The Strength of Witherbloom Command on display here. Okay. Now the question is, do I want to take Wasteland and Dark Depths? Or do I want to take the Loam after the fact? And I think I have to just take the Loam after the fact. Ooh, alright. Attack with Tamiyo. Brainstorm. Get rid of... It's probably... Spellbomb. And Bargain. And nothing's really being gotten rid of here, because I'm not shuffling immediately. Alright, I'm going to exile Light from the Loam and Choke from their graveyard. Choke doesn't matter that it's in the graveyard, but Loam's got to go. They've got some lands in their hand. One of them's Wasteland. One of them's Bajuka Bog. My explosives is here if they get a Saga going, or if they find, like, Pithing Needle. Otherwise, I have access to both basics, can start cracking clues. Yeah, bogging me out makes sense. Make sure Tamiyo doesn't do anything. Now they gotta exile their own Mox Diamond with that sequencing. That might have been intentional to respect Barrogoyf. Or it might have just been, like, whatever. Plus Tamiyo. And I can cast Bargain, or I can crack a clue. Crop rotation, leaving a black floating. Blast Zone, I guess, would kill Tameo, or they could just Merit Lage my ass. Okay, and I have no outs to this, right? Yeah, without Fairy Macabre in my deck, I have no exile-based removal, I have no sacrifice. I could chump block it with a different Tameo. Alright, yep, that sure happened quick. I hate that this is the avatar they choose to show me. A fetch for a trop, fetch for an island, Rakshas's Bargain in the end step, black, green, blue. I need my other Tameo. I only play 2. Barrogoyf, Cosmogoyf. 9/9 Cosmogoyf, not enough. Barrogoyf, too slow. I guess I'll take Hedge Maze and Bowmaster. It really doesn't matter. Okay, bombing me immediately. That plays around Murktide as a potential out. And now all I can do is crack a clue. And I'm dead. All right. Yep. Just like that. Sometimes you get Loam ground out, and sometimes they make a 20/20 real quick. Okay. So, in service of having some fun with Cosmogoyf, a little bit of fun was had. It certainly showed up. It was usually between 4 and 7 power anytime I had access to it. Other times it showed up, it was a 0/1 in my hand gumming up the works. I think even more so than the fact that sometimes Cosmogoyf has no stats is the deck building cost. That's the real kicker here. A deck like Bug Beans, when constructed correctly, should not be ice cold to anything. When you have a deck that can see this many cards and you have access to so many tools, a Merit Lage, if your opponent jams out Merit Lage, it should be like, okay, I gotta dig for my Brazen Borrower or my Shoulder's Edict here. Or if your opponent plays like Magus of the Moon, it's like, all right, I have 2 basics, I have 2 Lorien Revealeds, I've got a Dismember in the sideboard, I've got 2 Hydroblasts. If I can get a Lorien Reveal to unlock my island, if your opponent hits you with a turn 1 Chalice of the Void, it should be like, okay, I have Witherbloom commands, I have threats that cost more than 1. You know, like, that's my 3 examples off the top of the head. One of them is extremely practical. And I think that this list taking up spots that could be for those fringe situation solving one-ofs, that's the real cost of doing business with Cosmogoyf. And I think that as far as this shell goes, is the lesson learned with Cosmogoyf is basically Murktide Regent. It's a big creature at the point where you can, like in the mid game, when some stuff has already happened, you get a big creature. That's the same thing that Murktide Regent is. Some stuff has gone to your graveyard over the course of the game, now you get a big creature. Cosmogoyf is the same as Murktide, except it doesn't fly, and it takes an extra step. Your stuff has to go to the graveyard, and then it has to get exiled. So if we say that Cosmogoyf is Murktide Regent without flying and with an extra step, then it quickly makes sense that it doesn't make sense to have Cosmogoyf in Bug Beans. I talked about in the deck tech dedicated Cosmogoyf decks where you have Serum Powder and you're looking for nut hands that start with a 14 power creature. The other league that I brewed around Cosmogoyf, I've done this once before on the channel. I ended up in an Abzan Death and Taxes thing where Ketramos was in the deck and you had their main deck Relic of Progenitus chewing up graveyards left and right, Thelia, Flicker Wisp, Skyclave Apparition, all these things put things into exile. And that's a deck that actually wants a big stupid body sometimes, because most of its bodies are little techie guys. But this deck has big stupid bodies in it, in both Murktide Regent and Barrogoyf. And this body is frequently smaller and much stupider, because it doesn't fly, and it doesn't have lifelink, and it doesn't have death touch, and it doesn't draw cards when it hits, all of which your other big stupid bodies do. I really enjoyed playing Bug Beans this league, and having access to Cosmogoyf was just kind of like, okay, here's that guy. But I will say, I know the The most recent bans, the Nadu and Entomb ban, were a couple months out at this point. It's not new news anymore. This is the format we've had for quite a while. It feels really good to be able to even show up and play around in this sandbox, even if we know the deck is kind of intentionally weaker in service to a fun new card. It is nice that I can take a non-tier 1 deck like Bug Beans and intentionally make it a little worse for fun and still put up 2-3 in a Legacy League without feeling like I just got completely embarrassed across the entire board. Matt, thanks for sending this in. Everybody, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, check out the Patreon to support the channel, and I will see you next time.